Dr. Michal Linear. Tell me something. Everybody will speak about technology and internet and many other things. But you study not technology. The technology of our body, let's say it, and from our origins. The DNA or the genome. What is exactly that?
Okay, so I can explain in really 1 minute what it is all about.
All right.
And maybe the easiest way to get it is to think about it as the book of life. So it's the manual. When you buy something and you buy, your camera, you buy a manual, you open, you start reading, and you understand what does it do. So the analogy is pretty good. Why? Because it's a language, the language of DNA. It's a funny language, but it's a simple language. In English we have how much? 26 letters? That
like
in
that.
Hebrew, 22 letters? Something like that, right?
Yes.
In DNA there are only 4 letters, but they are very, very long. So the length of the string of DNA is huge, which means that you can encode many, many books. So it's not just one book, but it's many, many books. And like in books, you have chapters. And like in chapters, you have sentences. And like in sentences, you have words. So the sentences are our genes. So when we say that something is wrong with my genes, we mean that the sentence is wrong. And when it's got wrong, for example, you can have cancer, but you can have also a lot of things. So this is the language and the manual of life.
Tell me something. This is the manual of life. But we buy a camera, we buy a TV, and we never read it. We never read the manual. They don't bring it anymore. If you want to see it, you see it in the internet. So now you are doing it exactly the opposite. You are reading it, right. The manuals.
Yeah. So what happened is that about at 1990, so many years ago, they decided to do something really creative, saying, let's not just land on the moon. This is easy. But let's read everything in this book of life, although we don't know the language. You see? So we started reading, and the technology, which is very important, started to be able to read one letter by letter. And then, what we are doing in the Hebrew University, for example, is trying to make sense out of it. So you read a letter, a book. Let's say I give you a book in language that you never heard of. You look at it, you don't understand nothing, right?
Exactly.
So the difference is that we read the book, we now understand what it is all about. We break the code. So we know the code, like an enigma.
Right. Yes,
code.
exactly.
We know the code. So we can take a string of letters, and I can tell you what will be the end product.
All right. If you discover what is the some code of the DNA of the genome, can you fix some illness, fix anything, or use it to have a better height, or use it just to look more beautiful? What's the implication?
So it's a very good question, and the reason that it's a good question is that you cannot just do the technology and just read without doing in parallel a big investment in the ethical aspect.
Exactly.
What are we going to do with it? Who is owning this data? So in about 20 years ago, there was a big announcement saying the following: the data from the DNA belongs to humanity. So who is humanity?
All right.
Right? But it cannot belong to somebody. It cannot be, and the idea is that every day, all the data, the word big data, is exposed to everybody. So you can read it, I can read it at night, if I want.
But if I read my DNA and I see I want to have, instead of gray hair, I want to have blonde, or I want to be, can I change it in my DNA and have it, or it's just for my kids?
Yes. So basically, it's indeed for your kids. So everything that you transfer to your kids will be implemented in your kids. But every change that you can do to yourself, you can still make the change and cure disease. For example, you can make cleverly a drug that will fix the bad points in the DNA let's say for cystic fibrosis, a very severe disease, right? Right now, we can have, by molecular biology, by technology, some kind of a drug that will enter the cells, using viruses, by the way, enter a new DNA that's replacing the bad one.
And that will fix me?
Only you.
Oh, exactly, but it will fix me.
But not your kids.
Not my kids.
No.
But okay, I can change my life or my illness with that. That's what you are trying to do.
Yeah.
Fix. But you can also use it to create superhumans, supermodels, super sports players. Instead of having to check if somebody is using drugs, you will have to check if he has already altered his DNA.
So indeed, a lot of people think about this, and there is some fear. You know, maybe the future just means that people will manipulate and maybe create, as you say, super sport or super clever or super evil. And we know what does it mean, right? To be super evil and so on. But it seems that what is really important is to know. Because without knowing everything, and the idea is to know it and to expose it. So if it's exposed to the world, hopefully it will be used for a good cause. So to prevent, to do better agriculture, to do better disease managing. So for example, we understand now that fighting viruses is really very important to know not only our DNA, but also of the virus, right? So we know it. Yeah.
And coming back to the part of illness.
Yes.
If I discover I have a kid,
yes,
and when he's born, yes, I make him a DNA proof and another proof and another, I discover that he may have at 80 some disease or at, can you fix it there?
So I'll tell you what
is the
where we are heading.
Yes.
So we are heading. There is a very important technology, very in its infancy. So it's not really mature. It's called stem cell. So replacing by your own cell, make them replace the bad cells of your body. So it's stem cells. It means that those cells have the potential to become everything. As you know, being a baby, you start with one cell,
yes,
right? 2 cells, and then you become like a full body, right?
Yes.
So take one cell, take it back to become like an embryo, and you can make it a replacement of your skin. So this is the direction.
That's the direction, but maybe some people will like it to have it just, do you know, is he going to have red, green eyes or blue eyes? Can you change it? Can you do that also?
No.
Fix if he's going to be tall, small, if he's going, can you change also how he's going to behave?
But
can we change behavior?
Good question. But you can do is that you know that this baby has a tendency to have, let's say, heart attack.
Right.
So the lifestyle, and you know it, so you change and you tune the life so that this will not happen. And hopefully with the stem cell technology, it can be brought together that the genomics and the replacement, I don't like the name, but replacement of a particle, in your body can fit together to fix it. But what I like in humanity, if I can say, is the diversity. That some are tall, some are low, some are small, some are fat. That's what makes us so interesting as a community. And I don't think going for some optimal is the way. But
can you change also the behavior of a person with the DNA or the if he's going to be good, bad, the IQ? Somebody told me that if you have 2 babies from the same mother, and you put them one in some environment and the other in another environment, they are going to develop different.
Yes.
Can you change that and say, if I put this in the DNA, he's going to be a high mathematics, or he's going to be just a good, and he's going to be everything?
So what we know as of today is really to take each of these phenotypes that you just described, like being clever or being whatever, being good sports and so on, and just put numbers saying genetics will only give 20%, and the other will give the other 50%. And I just think that, so I think the proportion is what makes it important.
Just to finish,
Yes.
what is your job and what are you looking forward at the biology department
Yes.
at the University of Jerusalem?
Correct. Thank you
So-
very much, so much.
So what I'm doing is that it's really to bring the knowledge to everybody, so people will not be afraid of DNA, of the genome, will know that knowing it is the trick to make it better.
All right, very interesting, and we will be in touch knowing
Absolutely.
what your advances in Israel, and
And
that's going to change
my
all around the world.
pleasure.
Thank you.